CBS.
This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. For the first time ever, the Sandinista government and the U.S.-backed Contra rebels opened peace talks inside Nicaragua today. Both sides agreed to a truce during the talks, and the Sandinistas have apparently pulled back from their incursion into Honduras, where they were attacking Contra bases. Still, there are deep doubts about the chances for any real peace settlement. Correspondent John Blackstone is on the scene in Nicaragua.
Trucks and buses ran all night to get crowds in place for a grand send-off for the Sandinista negotiators heading to peace talks with the U.S.-backed Contra rebels. The Sandinistas wanted a display to show they are backed by the people of Nicaragua. The peace talks are being held at a border post along Nicaragua's frontier with Costa Rica. Here, the only welcoming party for the Contra leaders was the press.
We have come here to achieve peace in freedom.
This is the first time high-level Contras have crossed officially into Nicaragua, and the first time top leaders on both sides have met face-to-face. But the two sides are far apart. The Contras demand political change. The Sandinistas demand the Contras lay down their weapons first. There was, however, one early agreement, a ceasefire during these talks.
To suspend the offensive operations of our forces beginning today and as long as the process of conversation is taking place here in San Juan.
That should end more than a week of fighting along Nicaragua's northern border with Honduras. Sandinista troops are now pulling back after apparently attempting to capture the Contras' major supply depot inside Honduras. But the Contras have other enemies who have not stopped fighting. Americans who battle administration attempts to help the Contras. Some are at this border post today, including Brian Wilson, the California man who lost his legs trying to stop a train carrying weapons to the Contras.
The Reagan administration wants to say that the Contras have acted in good faith. We're not able to achieve a ceasefire to make it easier for the Reagan administration to get money from Congress.
The ongoing battle over American aid to the Contras makes public relations a significant element of these peace talks. With a view to American public opinion, both sides have good reason to at least appear willing to compromise. John Blackstone, CBS News, San Juan, Nicaragua.
A U.S. Army helicopter crashed today in Honduras, and some of the 9 American soldiers aboard were injured. That accident happened during joint exercises by U.S. and Honduran troops about 35 miles north of the Nicaraguan border. CBS News correspondent Richard Schlesinger has more on the muscle-flexing operations. We regret the poor quality of the audio line from Honduras.
American troops continued flying around Honduras today, officially to conduct joint training exercises with their Honduran counterparts.
The training is very valuable because it has given the Honduran armed forces a greater knowledge of strategies and tactics and also knowledge of new arms.
The official reason for the American presence here is only a thin veil covering the real mission. These soldiers are sending a message across the Nicaraguan border where thousands of Sandinista troops are stationed.
Nicaraguans are doing their thing, we're doing our thing.
While the peace talks between the Contras and the Sandinistas continue, Honduras is an unseen third party at the table, with almost as much at stake as the two principal parties. Roughly 14,000 Nicaraguans have fled across the mountainous border to become refugees in Honduras, but this is the second poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, and Honduras cannot cope with the refugees.
There's a social problem. It's obvious there's no work in this country, and they take away jobs.
And there have been more tragic costs for the Hondurans. Innocent civilians live in the middle of the zone where Contras and Sandinistas regularly fight it out. Efrain Farafino is 11 years old. He was clearing away some brush when his machete hit a landmine. His father says he doesn't know if the Sandinistas or the Contras left the mine. This boy is relatively lucky. Hondurans have been dying along the border since the Contras' war with the Sandinistas began in 1981. Richard Schlesinger, CBS News, Tegucigalpa.
Again, friends, we really regret that audio quality. We try not to do that to you very often. There were 2 large demonstrations today against the U.S. troop deployment in Honduras. More than 200 arrests were made in a peaceful protest in San Francisco. In Minneapolis, a protest grew violent when police tried to disperse up to 400 people who had surrounded the federal building. Some arrests were made after the protesters got violent. They broke windows in the building and sprayed it with paint. Backed by the United States, opposition forces in Panama today began an all-out push to try to force military ruler Manuel Noriega out of power. A general strike shut down about 90% of the country's business and industry, but the general showed no signs of yielding. Correspondent Juan Vasquez in Panama begins our coverage.
The general strike today was the most successful economic protest so far in Panama. There was a nearly total shutdown of private business. General Noriega had to break the piggy bank to pay nurses part of their overdue wages in dimes and quarters. The government has been forced to seek handouts from other countries. Still, Panama is broke.
General strike will be on indefinite terms until Noriega goes.
But many here believe a strike alone won't do the job. That with Noriega's negotiations with the U.S. stalled, only a successful military coup can resolve the crisis.
We expect that our officers in the National Guard will get rid of him.
Today, the military was enforcing orders that public employees must go to work or go to jail. The banks have been closed for nearly 3 weeks, but under Noriega's declared state of urgency, they could be forced to reopen, causing a run on the money. But in the poor neighborhoods of Panama City, state of urgency means something else. The hunger and misery here are reaching levels of desperation.
Sin comida, sin plata.
Without food, without money, without work, said this woman. In the best of times, people have little of anything here. Now they have nothing. We are eating once a day, said Maria Gonzalez. Food handouts from the church help, but already one of her 9 children has fainted from hunger. We hope that General Noriega understands what we're going through, said this unemployed bricklayer. If he has to go for us to eat and live in peace, then he should go. The poor here know how to get by on very little. Since General Noriega shows no sign of leaving and the economy is at a standstill, the rest of the country is learning too. Juan Vasquez, CBS News, Panama City.
With Manuel Noriega digging in his heels, the Pentagon has begun sending a steady stream of reinforcements into Panama to provide additional protection for the canal and American bases. The buildup began on Friday with an airlift to Howard Air Force Base. So far, about 300 extra troops have gone in, but the number will be at least twice that before it is over. Most of the reinforcements are military policemen who will be used strictly for defensive purposes. But the Pentagon is also sending in extra cargo handlers and communication specialists who could be used to direct a major airlift, either of American dependents out of Panama or American troops into Panama. Administration officials insist they are not about to intervene, but they acknowledge that Noriega is proving tougher to get rid of than they anticipated.
It's not clear to us that Noriega completely understands the situation and accepts it.
What's keeping this man in power?
Well, he's got all the guns. He's got all the money. He's doing all right personally, and people right around him. But I think the rest of the people are getting tired of it, and I think their will will be heard, even though they're not very well armed.
One new complication: the testimony of Noriega's personal pilot, who has defected to the U.S. and claims he flew in plane loads of Soviet-made arms from Cuba.
They did receive a large quantity of small arms from Cuba, but exactly what his intentions would be with regard to those, I really don't have anything to offer.
In an attempt to figure out what Noriega might do next, the team of State Department officials who met with him on Saturday included a psychiatrist, sent along in the guise of a diplomat. He reported that Noriega is in full command of his faculties. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
First returns from the election in El Salvador confirm that U.S.-backed President Duarte and his Christian Democrats Party took an even worse battering than they'd expected. Officials say that the Arena Party, led by right-wing extremist Roberto Dubuisson, went from 13 to a controlling 35 seats in the 60-member assembly. Equally important, the right-wingers also won more than 80% of the races for mayor. Still to come on the CBS Evening News, correspondent Bob McNamara on a Texas nuclear power plant that gets the go-ahead despite charges that it is dangerous. And Harry Smith on the arrival of spring. The days are getting longer, and you know something, so are the skirts.
I can't marry you.
Why? I'm only 6 years younger.
Oh, I don't care about that.
What do you care about? My hair? My tie?
Your breakfast.
Like this?
Yeah, it's old-fashioned.
Hey, I'm an old guy.
All those years of sugar and preservatives.
You're right.
Nutri-Grain whole wheat flakes. No sugar added, no preservatives.
That's good. Now will you marry me?
I thought you were 5 years younger.
Dedicated to the ones we love.
It's Taster's Choice Colombian Select with half the caffeine.
Get a full cup of flavor with only half the caffeine. kind of coffee you'll savor from all Colombian beans.
Taster's Choice Colombian Select.
What's this?
Those are the brakes?
I can go fast.
Yeah, but careful. When someone cares, you trust them.
Why are you doing that?
So it fits you just right.
When you feel special, that's trust.
I'll bet you're so Dad.
At Allied Van Lines, people make the difference. Each one takes pride in being the one America trusts.
You like putting things together?
I like doing this for you.
Me too.
This man is twice as strong as this man. Tums EX is twice as strong as Rolaids, so Tums neutralizes twice the stomach acid. Tums EX, twice as strong as Rolaids.
Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, now facing criminal indictment, has worked his last day as an active duty Marine Corps officer. The Pentagon today approved North's request to retire May 1st and said with accumulated leave time, he no longer has to report for any work. North asked to retire last week, saying he may have to subpoena, and I quote, the highest ranking officials in our government, end quote, to defend himself against the weapons for Iran deal charges. During a White House ceremony today, Mr. Reagan was asked about suggestions that he pardon North.
Mr. President, Senator Hatch says you should pardon Ollie North. Are you thinking about that?
Not ready to discuss that.
Mr. Reagan was signing a proclamation of support for the rebels in Afghanistan. Israeli troops shot and killed a Palestinian teenager during violent protest in the occupied territories today. More than 100 Arabs have died so far in the uprising, and today Israel buried the first of its soldiers to die. 28-year-old Moshe Katz was shot and killed yesterday as he stood guard on a street corner in Bethlehem. Israeli Prime Minister Shamir tonight is winding up a visit to the United States. He came here to underscore his opposition to a U.S. peace plan for the occupied territories and to defend his own hardline policy. But as correspondent Richard Roth reports, he didn't convince everyone.
In America for 8 days, it has been a battlefield not of stones and death, but of shouts and slogans. An arena of argument and dissent during Prime Minister Shamir's visit, unlike anything ever faced here by an Israeli leader.
Shame! Shame on you!
Never monolithic, but never before so apparently split, American Jews have entered a public debate over Israeli policy, the crackdown on Palestinian violence, and the rejection of a U.S.-sponsored peace plan. A debate on the policies of Prime Minister Shamir that reflects a change in attitude on the part of some of Israel's most powerful advocates.
His particular message to American Jewry no longer washes, and that message is, if you agree with me and my party's position, say yes and speak up. If you disagree, silence.
Some say the dissenters are naive.
They are out of touch with the political realities and the problems of making peace.
Shamir made his point plainly on the first day of his trip. In a war for survival, there's no room for dissent.
Make no mistake about it. What you see is not demonstrations. It is not sit-ins. It is not civil disobedience. It is war.
American Jews have been listening closely, though, to other Israeli voices as well. The daughter of an Israeli war hero, for instance, among those who favor trading land for peace.
He's misleading the American public at large when he comes and says to publics here that Israel's survival is at question.
Just today, the leader of the American Jewish Congress joined the public critics, calling for territorial compromise.
And these are questions in which not only Israeli citizens, it is believed, but Jews everywhere have not only a right but a responsibility to express themselves.
Despite the dissent, by every measure, the moral and financial support American Jews have given Israel for 40 years remains strong. But recent events, says one U.S. leader, have created a private agony, a realization that support doesn't mean subservience. Richard Roth, CBS News, New York.
As soon as you get out there, call Mike Butler at the Century 21 office.
Well, he already called me, Dad.
Check the utility bills.
I will, Dad.
You know, the right mortgage.
Dad, isn't this guy Butler a friend of yours?
Yeah, sure.
If he's half the guy you are, I bet I can trust him.
Come with us.
Take care of yourself.
Put your trust in number one.
Write your mother.
Century 21. We know how. We know how you love shrimp.
It's the once-a-year Red Lobster Shrimp Festival, featuring the shrimp sampler and our enormous shrimp feast. Platters start at just $6.95. Kids for just $1.95. Now that's a shrimp festival.
We know how you love shrimp.
The Red Lobster Shrimp Festival.
Try the shrimp and crab leg feast, just $10.95 on Fridays and Saturdays only.
Bob Hendon doesn't know it, but something else is about to interrupt his trip. Pain. As Bob's gotten older, he gets more aches and pains. That's why his next move is to Metaprin. Metaprin has the same medicine as Motrin, and nothing's proven faster for relief of body pain or any kind of pain. It's also gentler to your stomach than aspirin. Metaprin works fast when you haven't got time for the pain.
A big new nuclear power plant got the official green light today. Finally, it is said to be ready to go years behind schedule and staggeringly over budget. Those who favor it say about time and that it is part of what should be America's future. Opponents say the whole thing is a dangerous disgrace and that we'll all be sorry. Bob McNamara explains why.
80 miles from Houston, 8 years behind schedule, and $4 billion over initial cost estimates, the South Texas nuclear project was built to power some of the biggest Texas cities. But there are charges the plant is a nuclear nightmare waiting to happen.
The possibility that the plant will have an accident within 6 months is very high.
I wouldn't want to live within a 100-mile radius of it for sure.
Workers on the South Texas project tell of shoddy construction and a corrupt and inept management that falsified design documents and routinely ignored safety flaws.
To me, there were a lot of stupid mistakes. To put the valve, the handle, up against the wall, when all you'd have to do is just turn it towards you.
We've heard that there are problems with the electrical system. We've heard problems with welds. All of these will show up as the plant operates.
John Corder worked on nuclear plants for 17 years, but is one of dozens saying they were harassed or fired from the South Texas project for citing plant safety defects.
What I saw was not safe. It was wrong. Shouldn't have been that way. Should have been corrected.
Working for the Government Accountability Project, a whistleblower defense group, Edna Otney compiled more than 600 allegations of construction wrongdoing from 30 plant workers.
Valves, pumps, instrument panels have been jammed in. The craft were told to just jam it in to meet schedule.
Houston Lighting and Power, the lead utility on the plant, refused to be interviewed about the allegations, as did Bechtel, the major contractor, though both maintain that the plant is sound. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the NRC, said its recent study of the charges also found the plant safe. So in Washington today, it was no surprise the NRC licensed the first of the South Texas project's 2 units to go to full power.
We do indeed treat allegations very seriously, and I'm satisfied that we have carried out our responsibilities to the American people in this regard.
For months, technicians at South Texas have practiced simulated nuclear emergencies at the plant. And while the utility says it's ready for any crisis, critics say it better be. Bob McNamara, CBS News, Bay City, Texas.
Japan's stunning business success is now part of the American landscape. It's estimated that 250,000 Americans now work for Japanese companies in this country. That number is expected to triple by 1990. But what could be a sunny future is clouded by conflict. Business correspondent Ray Brady has that story.
They were rolling out the red carpet for Japanese companies when they first landed here. Japanese innovation and management seem to have it all, especially that prospect of jobs for life. But now some who rush to work for them say never again.
I believe that they used me for the expertise that I had within the corporation. And when they were finished with that expertise, they told me to leave.
More and more Americans are suing Japanese companies, charging racial or sexual discrimination. Here in California alone, where there are hundreds of Japanese-controlled companies, the number of suits has been growing over the past year. In their suits, many Americans charge that when there are cutbacks, it's Americans who go while the Japanese stay.
There was never a Japanese fired. They were always Americans.
In the course of winding down my division, 41 Americans lost their jobs, but not a single Japanese was terminated. I think that's very discriminatory.
Sumitomo recently settled a discrimination suit brought by women employees. Women who work for Japanese companies complain they get only low-level positions.
In their minds, they just can't believe that women will really be working with them on a professional level, and when they get in, that they'll just be doing secretarial work, because women do secretarial work in Japan.
Suits from American women point out a basic difference in attitudes stemming from the way women are treated in Japan. It's an attitude summed up in manuals like this, and one put out by the Sumitomo Corporation, in which Japanese working women are told they talk too much in the elevator, don't do it, and when serving tea to the men, always smile. Some say all this is a clash of cultures.
And on some occasions, I think it really is not discrimination, but misunderstandings that sometimes can be cured and sometimes can't.
And at Fujitsu, the Japanese are trying to teach their ways to Americans.
It is considered impolite to just drink in front of everybody who is watching him. So he may just slightly bend over, or sometimes even try to hide the glass.
Don't get me wrong.
Still, Japanese management is starting to play to a critical audience. A Hollywood film depicts the red carpet rolling out, but American heads roll too.
You're fired.
What? Both sides have much to lose in a clash of cultures that many say should be settled in the boardroom, not the courtroom. Ray Brady, CBS News, San Francisco.
Secretary of State Schultz and his Soviet counterpart Shevardnadze held a first round of talks late today at the State Department. They're expected to try to make progress on a strategic arms treaty, and Shevardnadze offered a date for a May superpower summit in Moscow. That's the expectation. Iranian gunboats set fire to 2 ships in the Persian Gulf today. The attacks were apparently in revenge for a devastating raid over the weekend against Iran's main oil terminal at Karg Island. Shipping officials say more than 50 people were killed when Iraqi jets hit 2 Iranian supertankers docked at the terminal.
Hello. Hey. Hello.
Call by 12 o'clock. Blow your
Lots of people with telephones not made by AT&T are reporting some kind of complaint. When was the last time you had a complaint with an AT&T phone? Get the first-class phones of AT&T. You get what you pay for. AT&T, the right choice.
To stack up the Totals vitamin nutrition, it takes almost 3 bowls of Special K.
I'll have shredded wheat.
12 bowls.
Separate checks, please.
Total has 100% of 9 vitamins and iron and is rich in calcium. That's a stack of nutrition.
In just 1 bowl.
I've written a sort of educational graffiti with Old English oil. It moisturizes to help prevent drying and cracking, brings out wood's natural beauty in the glorious manner that befits my glorious manner. Old English helps prevent drying and cracking.
Splish splash, I was taking a bath long about a Saturday night. Gloved up, got a clog in my tub, so I jumped out and fixed it up right. Just poured in liquid Drano, soon the clog was all gone. If they call it liquid Drano, baby, no, it's real strong. Yipes, yipes, and it won't hurt your pipes. Metal pipe or plastic, liquid Drano's just fantastic. Now I'm splishing and a splashing.
Liquid Drano, the liquid strong enough to be called Drano.
Snow and freezing temperatures hit much of the nation's northern and eastern sections this first full day of spring, but summer-like temperatures in parts of the west are a reminder that spring is here. And with it comes the question of spring fashions. There is a big question about those fashions this year, and Harry Smith is here with the long and short of it.
As spring has finally arrived, women around the country are agreeing that indeed this has been a winter of discontent. Today, there was much to be seen on the long and short sides of the important argument over just what is the right length of skirt.
I don't think the mini skirt is going to make it. It's not professional enough.
If I was a banker, I wouldn't do it. If I had big legs, I wouldn't do it. If they're too short, I think they look unprofessional sometimes, or at least the men in the office think they do.
It was just about a year ago that fashion dictators declared the days of the long skirt were done.
Short is in. It's long is out. We could put it very simply. Long is finished.
Fashion houses from Europe to the United States showed short, shorter, and shortest. American women, however, rebelled with their bank books.
While less may be more in a fashion sense, short has been nothing less than a financial disaster. Women's clothing sales are off 20%, and that's expected to get worse this spring.
For women in business, short skirts have a definite downside.
Career working women have to look professional during the day. They can't sit in their offices squirming to keep their skirts down.
So this week in Europe, designers are showing a little bit of everything for fall, creating a sort of skirt-length schizophrenia, with pants thrown in to truly muddle the picture. Even Barbie, the survivor of every fashion trend for decades, is confused. The latest Barbie fashion can go short or long.
Hemlines are going to start dropping again. Hopefully it will be a reflection of much better business and I think more choices.
Call it a rite of spring, the way we ogle one another as we shed our winter clothes, but what's right for spring this year is surely in dispute. Harry Smith, CBS News, New York.
And that's the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather. See you tomorrow. Good night.
You know, I'm not easily annoyed, but I never liked the way the vegetables always fell off between the sirloin on my beef kebabs. I fixed that. I don't put vegetables on my beef kebabs. In fact, I believe that's why someone invented salad.
Beef, real food for real people.
What's the best kind of fruit? The kind that's fresh, moist, and plump. That's why Sunsweet are my favorite kind of pitted prunes. Moist, plump, and fresh. Sunsweet, because the best prunes are fresh prunes.
Guess what? My folks just left.
Thank you.
When a man loves a woman.
The Subaru Justy with on-demand four-wheel drive gets you anywhere you want to go less expensively than any other four-wheel drive car.
Mr. Potts, you're home. Of course, the roads are terrible. What brings you out on a night like this, James?
Where does it hurt?
Here.
For indigestion, heartburn, and gas, nobody does as much as Malox Plus. Dose for dose, it neutralizes more than any regular strength antacid and dissolves gas. Nobody does as much as Malox Plus.
This is CBS. Coming up on Eyewitness News, a 6-hour standoff between an armed man and police ended this morning in death. We'll have the story. The fight over the student press at Western Kentucky University goes on, and the students say they'll do whatever it takes to keep their newspaper free. Those stories and a look at a new crime-fighting method being used by Metro Police. Next on Eyewitness News.